Welcome back to the final week of Thorgiween, and after reviewing films for 26 days straight, we're dead. We're all messed up. Hey, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
As I said, this is Thorgiween. We're all month long. We have been reviewing a horror film every single day, and it's the final week of October, which means no theme week. Yes, we did 3 straight theme weeks. We did the Universal Monsters, we did international horror films, and then we did Schlocktober, just pure schlocky horror films. This final 5 days, we're just watching whatever we want. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those films that I'm sure we had to have reviewed it at some point on the old channel. However, this is a brand new channel, and we're doing a brand new channel where we're talking about horror films. You have to get this one out of the way quick. This is one of those films that if you just want to know anything about movies, you have to, forget that. If you want to know anything about pop culture, you just eventually watch this film. This is arguably, I'd say you could definitely argue that this is the most influential horror film of all time. And I know that is a big statement to make, but every single time that I watch this movie, I always think about how everything in this film at this point was original, and how every single zombie film that came after it came from this.
Like, it literally paved the path for zombie movies.
Yes.
And a lot of horror movies, too.
There are so many themes in this film that now you have to do that in a zombie film. Like, that's just what you do in zombie films. And I know everybody just thinks that the zombies themselves are the original thing, but again, you gotta think about how many themes persist in all zombie films, and how so many of those come directly from this. By the way, I haven't said the name of the film. It's Night of the Living Dead. It's been playing behind us this entire time. Because that's an interesting fun fact that I don't know how many people actually know this. I know everybody in the horror community knows this, but if you are not in the horror community, Night of the Living Dead, despite being one of the most influential films ever made and one of the biggest successes ever made, is in the public domain. Because there's 2 different versions of this story, so I don't know which one's true, but the overall, both versions come down to an error. They screwed something up with the copyright process of this film. Essentially, George Romero wanted to make a film called Night of the Flesh Eaters. Or George Romero and his producer, who went on to be the producer for Return of the Living Dead. We already covered that, how these guys worked together, but then they split off and then went on and did their own specific things. This film, George Romero wanted to call it Night of the Flesh Eaters, but they needed a producer. They needed a distributor. And the distributor told them, hey, could you change that name? We already have some movie coming out that has Flesh Eater in the title. So he came up with Night of the Living Dead, which I will say, immensely better name. Nobody is putting Night of the Flesh Eater on for, their whole family. This, despite, a few kind of semi-graphic scenes in here, this is a film that's, no, it's mostly safe for the entire family. This is a very good introductory horror film, I would say. Mm-hmm. There's, 1 butt shot. That's it. And, all the gore stuff, very 1968, black and white. We had no money for this, so it's fine. You're gonna be safe. But George Romero said, yeah, okay, I'll change the name of it. And I've heard 2 different versions of this. One is that he had copywritten Night of the Flesh Eaters, but forgot to copyright Night of the Living Dead. So this film just never got copywritten to begin with. Or the other version that I've heard is that he had to go back in there and take out the title card. He had to take out the shot that had Night of the Flesh Eaters in the title. The Night of the Flesh Eaters title pop up. And that shot had the copyright info on the bottom. And apparently, this is, again, just what I've heard, but back then, the rule was if you made a film, you had to have the copyright info in the film somewhere. And when he took that shot out and put in there Night of the Living Dead, he didn't put the copyright info in the shot, meaning it was never copywritten. So again, those are the 2 versions that I've heard. Both versions essentially come down to they told him to change the name and he forgot to do something that involved the actual name of the film. That involved the copywriting of that specific name. Either way, long story short, yeah, this film from the moment it was released was in the public domain. It has always been in the public domain. And I've screwed some things up in my life. I have never screwed up, made one of the biggest successes of the entire horror genre that the world has ever known, and I can't make money off of it. Oh, I'm sure he made money off of actually the beginning of it, but then as soon as everybody realized, wait, we don't have to pay you to show this? Oh, hell yeah! Yeah, man, I can only imagine how much that must have hurt. But yeah, so long story short, it's in the public domain. You can totally just watch this wherever. That being said, still be careful when you put it up on YouTube or something, or you use a clip of it on YouTube, because there are assholes out there who will take advantage of YouTube's copyright bots, not actually checking anything, and they will say, hey, I own this. So copyright robots, if you see anyone using clips of it, you send me their money. Yeah, that is a thing that assholes out there love to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, where was I going with this? Yes, the actual film itself. That's where I was going. We haven't even gotten to that yet. It's weird. It's one of those films where it's like, have you guys not seen Night of the Living Dead? Have you? Do I need to sum this up for people?
I feel like maybe people who are not in the horror movies that much.
Statistically speaking, there are people like, listen, everybody who has seen Night of the Living Dead, there was a point in your life in which you had not seen it. Like, that is how, So yeah, I'm sure there are people out there who this has been on their I will eventually see it list. This is our first review of the day, and I'm already this tired. Hey, everybody. So, yeah, let's go ahead and actually talk about this. The film starts off with this woman, Barbara, and her brother, and they're traveling up into a graveyard in order to put flowers down on their mother's grave. And what's his name? Jonathan? I think anyway, the brother.
I think his name's Tom.
No, Tom was the guy. Wait, yes, it was. Okay, yes, I thought Tom was the guy that they meet in the
in the house?
In the house, yes. Anyway, but he's talking to her about how much he hates being there, how long of a drive it is. He's complaining.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, hey, remember when you were a kid and you were so creeped out of graveyards? And then he realized, oh, you're still a little bit creeped out. And he's toying around with her. And you see this guy just walking in the background, just sluggishly coming around.
Yeah, and you don't really think much of anything. You think it's just someone in the background, like maybe visiting their grave or something.
Exactly, yeah, it doesn't seem out of the ordinary. Which, again, that's another one of the things I got pointed out about this film. And I'll just go ahead and get out right now. If you have not watched this film, when you watch it, think about how your brain is going to immediately go to, well, it's this thing, do this thing. It's this thing, do this thing. Think about the reason why you know that is because of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you just pointed out, us watching this, a movie called Night of the Living Dead, and we see some guy lumbering around in the background, like, that's a zombie, that's totally what it is. Imagine being an audience member in 1968. You don't know what a zombie is. Zombies before this were things out of Haitian folklore. They were not, just like, oh, hey, everybody comes crawling out of their graves and they're craving flesh. Yeah, that wasn't what zombies were at this point. And zombies weren't a household name back then. The word zombie isn't even used in this movie. That's something to be pointed out. They keep calling them ghouls, which is a far more accurate description. A ghoul is something that eats the flesh of the dead. So yeah, that was a far more accurate description of them in here. They never once say zombies. But
where does the name zombie come from?
I have no clue.
Okay.
It's something out of Haitian folklore. I have no clue.
Okay. Maybe
you mean like? Do you mean like why they started using it for the George Romero zombies, or?
Well, basically, I guess both. I kind of just curious about like the origins of the name.
I guess when they made this film, because it was audiences that named them zombies. So I guess it was just like, what is the closest thing that we have in our collective knowledge to this of what we're seeing on screen? I guess zombies were just it. But yeah, just think about the fact that these days, if you watch a zombie film and you see somebody just lumbering around the background, they're a zombie. Audiences back then would just seen this guy lumbering around and be like, that's a guy just lumbering around. So the moment he comes up and just starts attacking them, just making no sounds, nothing, just mindlessly going at them, from the start, this thing is already jarring to audiences. That is incredible to think about, just instantly throwing the audience to the wolves on this one.
Mm-hmm.
There is no expectation of what to come from. They are immediately taking this saying that they have established, and within minutes, they have just shredded these characters' entire world. Again, I don't mean to go this hard on this film, But it is one of those things that when you think about how we have the knowledge of what to expect from a zombie film, nobody watching this in 1968 knew this. Like, this is the horror movie equivalent of when people in the 1900s saw the footage of the train coming to the screen and they all freaked out and started running, which is a thing that people used to do. So she tries to get away. The car crashes. And
and her brother got knocked out.
Oh, yeah, I should point that out.
Yeah, like, she got attacked by the zombie, and Tom, I think, tried to come into the rescue, and, like, the zombie just threw him off, and, like...
Head cracks on a tombstone. Yep. That's it, he's out.
Yeah, so there's nothing much she can do except get away.
Yeah, and so she's running, she finds this house, goes in there, immediately finds a dead body at the top, and for 1968, that gore was graphic. These days, I mentioned that the gore in here isn't that bad. These days, no, that is not that bad. This was shocking. Again, 1968, and like you see like a face half eaten off. It is really extreme. So she's freaking out, she's panicking, she sees more zombies there, and then a truck pulls up, and this guy, Ben, comes right in. And he locks up the doors, he starts fighting off the zombies, he closes every single entrance, and he immediately starts asking her questions of, do you have a key? I saw a gas pump out there. Do you have a key for it? Do you know where we are right now? Do you have a phone that works? And Barbara is catatonic from this point on.
Yeah, she is like so shocked about like what's going on that she can barely even talk.
Yeah, she is mute throughout the majority of this film. And when she does talk, it sounds like she's being hysterical. When she does talk, she's just, I was driving with my brother. And I said, can I have a piece of candy? And like, she's just staring off like Barbara's not here anymore. She's gone. And I will say this, as much as you have to applaud this film, that doesn't mean that it's perfect. And George Romero himself even used to say this is his big regret with the film, is that he doesn't think that Barbara is good. Like, even he is like, no, I fell into the trap of the weak-willed woman who just, oh.
Yeah, that's very much so. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's like they didn't know what to do with her. Honestly.
No. Yeah, she is there to show how shocking and terrible all of this is. And mission accomplished. Like, yeah, she just breaks down. And that is what she is throughout the rest of this movie. In fact, I will say this, as bad as it is for the character, and for just the writing in general of like how she plays into the story, I do have to say I like how the actress pulls this off. Like, when she starts talking, you get the sense that, oh, she's out, she's clocked out right now. Like, oh, she's going through it.
Yeah, she's not a bad actor, she just has a bad role.
Yeah. And there's a moment in there where that I love where Ben is trying to board up the walls, and she just comes up and just like, her hands are like just shaking. She's not making any sound. She just barely puts her hands up there to try and hold it up. And like, you can tell she's trying to do something, but her body is just like, we're not, we're out, we're done.
And meanwhile, Ben is like this close to like slapping her in the face and telling her to snap out of it. But
yeah, there is a moment which he does do a 1960s like slap out and snap out of it. He does do that at one point in time. But I mean, it is not like you never look at that and think like, oh, Ben is a bad character. Like, no, this is a 1960s movie and someone is like being hysterical, like you slap them. That's what happens in these films.
Yeah.
And I will say this. So Barbara, her character, there's a problem there. Ben, this guy to this day is one of the best zombie movie protagonists. And it's because he comes in there and he takes control and he has that sense of like, this is what we do, here's how we do it. Like, he's got the plan, but there comes that moment in which he just starts talking about what he was doing before he got here. And oh my gosh, that is like the moment in which you can see he's breaking down too. And you get the sense the reason why he is trying to take control so much is because he needs to take control because, yeah, he's freaking out too. Everyone in this situation will be freaking out, so he has to take control and make sure that like, okay, we can't just sit here and do nothing. We have to have a plan and be actually moving. And I have thought while watching this time that because this is in the public domain, anybody could do this. So I'm just putting it out there into the world. I would love to see like a comic series or like, Shudder, make a little mini series out of this or something that's just an anthology showing what each of these characters were doing before they got to the cabin.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. And I know that there's a big problem in fandoms in general these days of like, well, we don't want to ever move ahead. We just want to go back and add more lore onto this stuff and look at other things that we might not have seen. This isn't that because we've never explored that. And I just think it'd be a really awesome character study of like, all right, yeah, we hear Ben's story. Let's give Ben like a little half-hour long episode of a show or something that's just his day. And then it leads up to this. And because like, let's see him. We saw what happened when Barbara saw like one guy out there in the graveyard. Ben was in town. Let's see how things went down there. Or, the Coopers who we meet later on. Like, all right, what were they like before the zombies? Was Mr. Cooper always an asshole? Or is that how he's cracking under this stress?
And it's like so interesting because like every time a new character comes into the house, they basically kind of like add more to what's going on.
Yes, every single character adds.
Because like in the beginning, like we know about as much as Barbara does about what's going on.
Yeah.
So basically, Barbara's basically the avatar for the audience.
Very much so. Yes, exactly. Like, she is there to be like, I don't know what the hell is happening. Every single new character that gets introduced does add a little bit of extra story, but also adds another dynamic to what's going on underneath that roof. And that is another thing that I got to point out about, like, how influential this was. Like, it's not just like this film invented what zombies are. Think about how every single zombie film you've seen, everybody's always like, no, the big threat isn't the zombies, it's man. It's the other survivors. It's can you trust your fellow man and how desperate do people get when everything is going wrong and the zombies are coming out and how do you act? This started in this film. And don't get me wrong, people not trusting each other in crises, that's nothing new. Like, that's been part of storytelling since the very beginning of storytelling. However, this is always like a rule for zombie films. Anytime that somebody talks about zombie films, they always say, well, the thing that makes zombies really threatening aren't even the zombies, it's the other people during the zombie film. It's because it all comes from this movie. It all comes from, there's Mr. Cooper in there. That asshole who does not want to trust anyone else. He is immediately looking at Ben with contempt, which we'll get into a little more details on that in a moment. Mm-hmm. He is immediately out to only save himself and his family, and so many of the things that go wrong here are because Cooper is just fucking things up. And yeah, when you think about how so many zombie films need that one other surviving human who just ruins everything for everybody, it comes from this. You gotta think about like, God dang, just think about how this, not even the concept of zombies, the storyline of this influenced all future zombie storylines. That's why I say this is one of the most influential films ever made. Not even horror films, but just films. It created a genre of horror films. And so many people are even afraid to move away from the initial concept of the plot of this movie. It's really impressive. They're in there, they're boring everything up. I was mentioning Ben, and this is one thing that I will say. Ben's actor is also the best actor in here, and this story has gone around a lot. A lot of people talk about how Ben is a black man, and this was in 1968. This was in the middle of the civil rights movement. Mm-hmm. This was really a big deal to cast a black man as the, like, I wouldn't say the protagonist because we do start with Barbara.
But like in the main cast.
He is the leader. He is the guy taking charge. He's the hero. He's the one that we're rooting for.
The duotagonist? Is that what?
I guess that's the word, yeah. The duotagonist, yeah. Or is it duotagonist or duotagonist?
I don't know.
We know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. When there's like multiple protagonists in there. But it's like, yeah, he's definitely, if he's not the protagonist, he's the duotagonist. And he is the one that we are rooting for. He's the one taking control. He's the one the audience is supposed to be on the side of. And for 1968, that was really impressive. And you take that even further and you think about Cooper, this old white guy who even looks like just the depiction of like a Southern sheriff or like, some like old businessman. Like this guy looks like he would be like, oh yeah, this guy looks like he would say something racist. This guy, he definitely has that look to him. And he is coming in there and you've now got this black man giving orders to this white man and the white man's being the biggest asshole about it. like, you have to be blind to not read messages into that. Here's the thing that, again, I'm sure some people out there don't know, but it's one of the most common facts about this film is that George Romero did not write that to be a black character. He did not write anybody to be of any race. George Romero just wrote, like, the names, that's it. And they just had open casting calls, and this guy came in, and he gave the best performance, so they gave him the role. And I have heard another story out there. I've heard one story that George Romero wrote the part of Ben to be played by a friend of his, and the friend was there for the casting call, and his friend was the one who was like, you gotta cast that guy for the role. Like, I know it was made for me, but he give it to him. I've never heard anybody other than that guy himself say that story, so take that with a grain of salt. Not to mention, I've always been like, wait, hold on, so he wrote it for you, but they still had a casting call for the scene? Like, I've always found that,
Maybe I had a casting call for, like, the other other cast.
Other characters.
And then he was like, I know you casted him for this role, but I think he'd be better in my role.
Oh,
something
okay.
like that.
That's possible. I can see that. I can definitely see that happening. But yeah, so the point is, there was an open casting call, and they just said, this is the best guy for the role. So all those messages in there, completely unintentional, but you can't pretend like they're not in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, like, watching Ben now, like, thinking about the fact that he got this role because he gave the best performance, holy cow, he is giving the best performance in this movie. His performance is actually great. Like I said, there's that moment in which he's telling the story about what he saw on his way here, and you can just get, like, that little, like, shake in his voice of, like, oh, he's trying to be tough right now, but he's also going through it. Everybody's going through it in this film. But yeah, we then get introduced to Cooper, his wife, and their little daughter are in the basement. The daughter was bit, and she's down there, and she is not doing well. And there's another character in there who, what's this guy's name? I'm not seeing his name up there. His girlfriend's name is Judy. But yeah, I thought he was Tom.
I don't know.
Whatever. But yeah, there's another guy in there, and his girlfriend Judy. And together, all of them start trying to figure out a way of working around this, of what they should do, except for Harry, who's being a big asshole, because like, we should be staying in the cellar. The cellar is the safest place for us to be. We should all be down there. We should be boarding everything up. And Ben is raising the very good point of, if we go down to the cellar, that's our last call. We can't defend or do anything else. We'll be trapped down there. That is our last resort.
Mm-hmm.
Ben says we should stay up here until we have to move into the cellar. But Harry's like, I'm going down there and I'm locking the door on all of you. And as much of an asshole as Harry is, he's got a little girl down there who's injured.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I would love to see like an anthology of like what all these characters were doing before they got here. Because I would find it so interesting if Harry wasn't a major asshole and it was just like his daughter got bitten. Now he's just like, no, I'm saving everybody no matter what. Excuse me, I got something in my eye. Oh, okay. Sorry. Anywho, I was like, I'm not going to make it through this sentence. All right. Yeah, again, as much of an asshole as Harry is, he's protecting something. However, I will also say this. There's three women in here, Barbara, Judy, and Helen, who is Cooper's wife. There is a moment in which Cooper is down there just ranting, and Helen's like, that's important to you, isn't it? That you're always right. It's always important. And yeah, I really dig that moment from her. So maybe my anthology idea, he'd still be an asshole.
I was actually thinking, like, even if Ben wasn't black, this wouldn't be about, like, racism. It would be about, like, toxic masculinity, basically.
You could definitely read that in there. You could also see, like, a little bit of class in there because, like I said, Mr. Cooper just looks like he has money. Like, he looks like he is some guy who comes from, like, a white picket fence house. And, like, he's got, maybe not rich, but he's got the money for security.
Right.
And he's not used to being, like, struggling with something.
And you see Ben, like, you can see, like, his clothes are kind of dingy.
He's got worker clothes.
Like, he's a blue-collar worker.
Absolutely.
Very much so.
Blue-collar versus white-collar. Like, you can absolutely read that message in here as well. Yeah, if Ben wasn't black, you would still be able to read that. I like your idea of toxic masculinity because, yeah, Mr. Cooper is down there and he's like, he has to be right, as his wife says.
Mm-hmm.
So, this thing becomes about them trying to survive. And I dig the pacing of this film. Because think about how many other films we've watched where someone goes to a place and they're just kind of there now, and I guess the rest of the movie's gonna happen now. But no, things are continuously moving. New developments are constantly happening. Oh, we got the radio working. We got the television working. We got new information from this. And by the way, if you've never seen this film, like I said, it's on YouTube freaking everywhere because it's not copywritten. You can just go and watch this. Just go and watch this now. We're not even gonna divide up the spoiler part in here. We're gonna talk through the whole entire thing. I love, this is the weirdest fact about this movie that nobody ever brings up. There is an explanation to the zombies. Every other zombie movie, or most other zombie movies, there's no explanation. The dead are back. There's might be like a little hint of something in there, but there's never much. In here, the news is talking about how a satellite that went to examine Venus has now returned, and it like spread Venusian radiation across the planet. It's an alien radiation plague is what's bringing them back. No one ever thinks about that, and it never comes up again in any of the other George Romero films, as far as I know. That's just, and always cracks me up. That's like one of the things that defines the George Romero zombies specifically is how down to earth they are, how real it all feels, because it is about the characters. It's about very real characters having very real interactions in this very stressful situation. And it just always cracks me up that it's like, oh, by the way, there's also Venusian radiation. That's a part of this. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, like, in a lot of people would think it was like, oh, radiation from like the local factory or nuclear plant or something like that.
Or whatever that thing was in Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Yes.
So to have it come from outer space is very interesting, but...
Oh my god, I've said this so many times. I said this during our Universal Monsters blog earlier. If they brought back the original Universal Monsters, I keep saying, what can you do that's new with them? Cosmic horror. Have them tie into cosmic horror. And I have always thought Frankenstein's monster would be perfect for that because there is like some version out there where it was like cosmic radiation that did like, yeah, zombies. Here you go. Zombies brought back by space juice. 100%. And the zombies are all now some color that can't be described by words. Yeah, I 100% think like cosmic horror is a great path for people to take with classic monster tropes. And it's so weird that that's not what the intent of this franchise was, but it's right there in the very first movie.
Another thing I find very interesting is, like, when you hear the title, Night of the Living Dead, you expect, like, dead people to, like, rise from the graves. But you never see that in the movie.
A little bit of money probably.
Yeah.
That you hear people talking about, though. Which, again, this thing was cheap. And I gotta give them credit for what they did in here. Like, man, look at the story on the making of this film. Like, they had no money for this. It's really impressive, all the stuff that they were able to pull off with such little money in here. Like, there's a moment in which they're watching the TV, and it comes to them, like, outside of, like, a building in Washington. I don't think it was the White House. Yeah, I don't remember what building they were outside of, but yeah, they're outside of this building interviewing this general. They didn't get permits for that. That was them. They just showed up. I was like, we got one take before the cops show up. Come on, let's go. Like, it was literally that. Like,
and that's probably why they weren't able to like film in front of the White House.
Oh yeah, guerrilla filmmaking at its best. So yeah, as the film goes on, tensions keep rising. I love it. There's constantly like new developments. There's really good shots in here too. Like, you know, there's a moment where Ben walks past the boarded up windows and just a bunch of hands coming. Like, that's really, again, think about how many times you've seen that image in a zombie film. It's so impressive. Like, to think of how many things this, like, directly inspired for zombie films. It almost feels like zombie films aren't even a genre. It just feels like Night of the Living Dead films are a genre. And yeah, the film is, like, despite, you know, a lot of people think, oh, older films aren't as creepy. This film is still genuinely creepy. I watched this several years ago, when I had, like, first moved to New York. The MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art, was having a showing of this on Halloween. And I went and saw it there, and even though I had seen it multiple times, something about watching this out in public and then walking out and now suddenly it's night outside, just like, ooh, get a little chill now. Ooh, that movie is actually like, that movie's still with me a little bit that never sat with me before. Ooh, that's okay. This film's got some creeps in it. Okay, all right. But as the film goes on, we mentioned that the other guy, I'm pretty sure that was Tom.
Maybe.
But anyway, God, I'm trying to remember. Like, I'm remembering they're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah, that's the brother.
Name? Stop it. She said his name. Stop it. I cannot remember what it was. I don't think it was Tom. I think it was 2 syllables. But yeah, it was 2 syllables. This guy was Tom. Okay, so so there's another guy there, Tom, young guy. He has a girlfriend, Judy, and they have a nice little moment in which they're talking with each other. And Tom is going to go out in the pickup truck to go to the gas pump. They find the keys for it, and I love that Ben establishes this is not his truck. And I love that there's a moment in which he's kind of like, I don't even know how I drove this thing here. Like, I just got lucky. Like, you get the sense it's stick. And, like, Ben just doesn't know how to drive that.
Which is weird, because, like, I'm pretty sure all cars back then were stick.
I think so, yeah.
I think he just, like, didn't know how to drive.
That might be it. He might have been, like, he could have been traveling around on the bus, for all we know. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because, like we said, like, he seems like from a working class, so maybe he wouldn't be able to afford a car.
Yeah, exactly. Which, again, man, that makes me go back to that anthology idea that I want to see someone do of like, okay, let's get that moment in which Ben has to escape and he doesn't even know how to drive and he's trying to figure out that truck for the first time and just like careening down the road. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Like, man, I think that'd just be like a really great thing to do with this franchise because so many people have tried to do additional things with this franchise. Like, I think this was actually made, by the other producer, the one who went off to make Return of the Living Dead. I think this was him. Because I remember when we reviewed Return of the Living Dead, I said, like, yeah, like, there was a pretty nice split off between the two of them. He seems like a good guy. I've looked into him more. A lot of people just talk shit about this guy. Like, I think I was being too positive on him. I've learned new information. But from what I understand, he tried to make his own version of Night of the Living Dead, in which he took the entire footage of Night of the Living Dead, and then he added in there new footage of a subplot involving a preacher that is so bad. Yeah, it's, ooh, man. You really get the sense that it's like, yeah, you know what, maybe George came up with, maybe George deserves all the credit for why this thing's great. Because I love Return of the Living Dead, but the more I learn about that, the more I even learn, like, oh, people rejected his first script, and this script was entirely from the director. Like, yeah, this guy apparently didn't even do anything. Like, it's, the more I learn, the more I'm like, I'm giving that guy too much credit, I think. Anywho, so they go up there, they get to the gas pump, and they try and put the keys in, and it won't, like, they got the wrong keys. So Ben then tries to shoot the lock off, which, man, I know you're desperate, but there had to have been a smarter way to go about that. Like, that is one of my few problems with this. Like, I don't think they handle Barbara very well, and my other problem is that Ben is made to look like he's the guy with the plan. He is the one who is coming up with the strategy of what they need to do, and then this is the dumbest thing you could have done that moment. But in a weird way, that also kind of makes me like it a little bit, too, because as I mentioned, when Ben talks about what he saw, you get the sense the reason he is trying to take control is because that's how he is coping with this situation. Mm-hmm. We don't actually know how smart Ben is.
Yeah, like,
he does come with good, like, he is very good at organizing everybody in there and getting them to board up the windows. But he is also, like, you get that sense that this guy also is capable of panicking.
Like, I feel like Ben feels organized in the house because, like, the house is protecting him.
He's got something, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, once he's out there vulnerable, then he starts to, like, freak out more.
I kind of like that.
And I think that's why he decided to just try and drive the truck, because, like, I don't know how to drive this, but I gotta get the fuck out of here.
The more that I, like, think about and dissect Ben's character, I really like that character even more. Because, yeah, you can look at that as like, yeah, he is so in charge, and man, he is that voice of reason and logic that we need in here. But you're right. He's got some stability inside that house. He's got something to protect. He is there. He has a moment to breathe. You can tell when he's telling that story, he's shaken by just the thought of what's out there. And so when he gets out there, it's like, oh man, he's a vulnerable human again now. It's like, okay, all right, yeah. This could be stuff that we're reading into the film that is not meant to be in the film, but hey man, one of the great things about art is you can read into it however you feel like reading into it. Yeah, art is meant to be interpreted, and I really think that Ben is a great character to dissect. But he ends up shooting the lock off, and sure enough, gas starts spraying everywhere. And man, poor Ben, he had to set his torch down, and the gas just happens to spray over where the torch is. And it gets up on the truck. Truck starts rolling away with Judy still inside. Tom goes in there, and then they finally stop the truck. Truck's on fire, and Judy can't get out. She's stuck in there, and this is one of my other big problems with this film. Like I said, I don't think that Barbara is handled well, and even George Romero's like, man, that's the stereotypical, like, female just can't handle anything. I fell into that trap. I apologize. Like, George Romero has said that himself numerous times. Judy is also a problem because she did not need to be in the truck. It was only going to be Tom and Ben who went out there. That was it. It was just going to be the two of them. And then at the last second, Judy's like, I'm coming too. And then she runs in there, and then she does nothing to help. And then when she's in the truck, she can't get out because the seatbelt is stuck. And Tom and her blow up because of it. I was like, wow, okay. Judy accomplished nothing in here except for getting herself and another character killed. And we're talking about how Barbara doesn't really add anything great here. It's like, man, Judy's actually kind of worse.
Yes. Funny how, like, all the women in this movie don't really seem to do much of anything.
I will say Helen's the one standout. I do like Helen in here, but I mostly like Helen because she tells her husband to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And we do even see when Helen finally comes up out of the basement, she actually is more on Ben's side. And yeah, so I do like Helen in here. But yeah, it's the three men definitely provide way more to the story than the three women. And that is definitely a problem. Which, have you ever seen the 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead?
I don't think I have.
I actually saw that before watching this one. I saw that when I was a kid. And then years later, I went back and watched this, and it was jarring because Tom Savini directed that, but I'm pretty sure George Romero still wrote it. And you can tell he had a problem with how he wrote Barbara in the first place, because now she's Ellen Ripley. She's Sarah Connor now at this point. Like, she literally, and she does a good performance from memory, from what I can remember of it. Because I've never actually returned to this, but I do remember having positive thoughts about it.
You never returned to Night of the Living Dead. Yeah.
I did return to the Night of the Living Dead, yes.
The remake.
Yes, the remake. So, because yeah, she goes through a big emotional journey in this film. And then when it gets towards the end, she's like, nah, fuck all this. Like, she starts fighting back. And I would be interested in going back and return to that at some point in time. I do want to go back and see if it still holds up, because I do remember really liking it. But that is, like I said, it was weird going from that to the original, because I was like, holy shit, Barbara. Barbara, what are you doing? When's the part when Barbara fights back? Oh, that never comes. Ben is able to make it back inside, and Cooper locks him out because Cooper's just the biggest asshole. And at that point, tensions just explode. But as we have mentioned, down in the cellar is the little girl, the daughter of Helen and Mr. Cooper. Henry is his first name, Helen and Henry. The little girl is down there. And she's been getting sick, and she's been getting worse. And there comes a moment in which the mom goes down to check on her. And now she's risen from, and she's died, and she's come back. And again, we talk about how, like, oh, this film established what zombies are. And we were talking about in the beginning, think about how if you had no idea what a zombie was, you just see some guy shambling around the back, you wouldn't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows the rule of if you get bit by zombies, you turn into one. That wasn't a thing. In fact, that might not even really be the thing in here. It could just be, if you die, you come back. Which, that's the other thing, is that at this point, we had gotten stories in which we'd seen the news, and the reporters on there were like, okay, if anybody dies, take them out in the street, set them on fire. So it was kind of like set up a little bit that it's not just the people who were already dead. If anyone dies now, they will still come back. So that had been set up, but it wasn't like a big focus. It wasn't something they really stopped to go like, okay, let's make sure that the audience understands this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So the audience, they're not looking at that little girl the entire time going, she got bit, it's too late for her, it's going to happen, we all know how this happens. Which I have said this many times. I really want to write the zombie movie where the zombies don't follow zombie rules, and the big threat is the guy who thinks he knows all the zombie rules. Like, somebody gets bit, and somebody there in the survivor group is just into like, well, we gotta kill him. It's like, no, motherfucker, we don't know if that's how this works. And then, like, as the movie goes on, they get sicker and they just have to, like, worry about, like, this guy turning on them and, like, killing this person who they were all trying to protect. And then, like, at the end of it, like, they get, like, some, you know, like, some, just penicillin or something, like some antibiotics or something for them. And they end up surviving the whole thing and they come back and, like, take out the guy who was trying to kill him, something like that. I've been saying for the longest time, I really want to, like, make a zombie story about that. And I just told all of you what it is. So all of you, that's your challenge. Beat me to that plot line.
And make sure, like, you copyright it.
Yes. Make sure that you copyright that. Mail that thing to yourself. I don't even think that's a thing anymore, because I think that now with everything being digitized, you can just go, here's my save data. Here's why I created this thing. I don't know. Anywho. But yeah, just think about how audiences will have reacted when this little girl comes back to life. Nobody knows that's the rule of zombies yet, because that wasn't the rule of zombies yet. Again, I keep talking about how this is so influential. Yeah, that had not been established. And I think, again, it's not even that I think that that's that cool of, like, a story development. It is. It's a good story development. It's a good twist of, like, oh, this girl who we were all concerned about is now the monster. And also, like, she starts eating her parents after she kills them, but she doesn't do the typical zombie thing of, like, run up and just, like that. There's the thumbnail. She grabs, like, shears and plunges it into them. And there's something about that I rarely ever seen copied.
Yeah, like zombies using weapons.
Yeah, zombies that can still think, because it kind of implies that's not just, you know, the brain-dead hunger that makes them long for flesh and they're just animals at this point. There's nothing in there of the old self. There's something about having a zombie where it's implied, no, they've still got the motor skills. They've still got the knowledge of how to use tools. And they're not, like, again, if you're just, like, hungry and you're animalistic, you'd bite with your teeth, you'd slash with your hands and claws. Something about, like, just picking up the shears and just, like, going over and stabbing them. It implies that the things that come back from the dead are just like, we just want to kill. We're just here for murder. That's what we want. And there's something so creepy to me about that.
And I'm thinking back to, like, the beginning, like, the guy who comes along to kill, he doesn't even, like, bite her, he just chokes her. Yeah,
he's just choking her out. You're right. He even, like, picks up the rock. We were talking about using tools. He picks up the rock to bash the window. Yeah, there is something really creepy. I hadn't even thought about that. That's a really good call. There's something just so creepy thinking about how the zombies in here, there is, like, a little bit established in, like, the news reports of, like, oh, they're trying to eat flesh. And, like, we do see them, like, eating bugs out there. And, like, we do see the little girl eating her parents. But there is just something so creepy about the idea of, like, no, like, they've still got the motor functions to know what murder is and to know how to kill someone. And that's just what they want to do. They come back from the dead to destroy the living. That's great, and not nearly enough zombie movies do that. I definitely think that should be something that we see way more with zombie films. Zombies that are actually malicious. It kind of reminds me of, there's another George Romero film, which I've never seen this one. I've seen the remake, and the remake is actually shockingly good. I've heard people say it's even better than the original, but there was one, I think it was called Maniacs, something like that. I don't think that's the name of it, but it's something like that. The Crazies, that was it. It was called The Crazies. And it was just about a town where everyone goes insane and tries to kill each other. I was like, yeah, there's something just very, very alarming about the idea of suddenly you're overcome with something and your only desire is to kill. I think that's great. Hold on. I think that's a great idea for a film.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea for a film. It's very spooky. It's very creepy.
Great idea for a film!
Man, you should really just kill yourself in Minecraft. That's a great idea for a film in Minecraft. Anywho. So yeah, then Ben has to take out the little girl, and I love that he also, like, takes out Cooper when he comes back, and he puts multiple rounds into Cooper. And you can just tell, like, yeah, Ben's human, and he's pissed. And then, of course, we get to the end of this film, which also sets up the theme of a lot of zombie films, that there has to be a tragic ending. And this one, again, Ben was not cast to be a black man. He was just cast in here. But again, you put in here, like, this is in the middle of the civil rights movement. And at the end of this, you got a bunch of, like, just gun-toting militia guys out there, like, and, like, a corrupt-looking sheriff. Like, he's even got, like, he's got like mobster threads on. Like he's got the hat, he's smoking the cigar. And then Ben comes out and he looks out the window and then they see him, all right, hit him right between the eyes. And then they just shoot our hero. And it ends with that. And nobody knows what he went through. Nobody knows that he was human. Nobody knows what he experienced. None of that. He is going to be burned on the pile with the other zombies because that's all that they think he was. It's this imagery and this message of these guys came in here and they didn't just kill him. They took away anything that he had accomplished in the night because nobody's going to look and go, oh, poor guy, he really suffered. They're going to look and go, oh, good, you got that zombie. This was a zombie. We're going to tell everyone it was a zombie. No one will ever know what this guy went through. It's like, God damn, man. It hurts thinking about that. But again, you think about, like, this movie wasn't made to have this message, but, like, the moment that you cast that actor to play Ben, like, it takes on such a deeper message in there.
Yeah, and the message of, like, you can't always trust the people who are going to save you. Again, that's also, man, you want to talk about another message that George Romero ran with in his zombie films. That is a huge theme of his zombie film. That's like, those guys that like are in charge of security, they're monsters. They're terrible people. These people came here to try and like rescue all the survivors, and they're not stopping to check on anything. They're just shooting and asking questions never. It's very good point. Man, this film, it is a work of art. It was so ahead of its time. It established the zombie, not just genre, but also like plot beats, which that's the impressive thing. Think about the fact of like how many other films out there will follow a theme established by a previous film, and people will say like, oh man, we've seen that. Why you guys show us that again? Come on, do something original with it. But with zombie films, if you don't have the asshole human in there, people are like, well, you missed the point of zombie films. Like think about like just how this established like all the beats and everything. It's like insane to me. The acting, incredibly good. The character dynamics in here, incredibly good. The messages, whether they were intended or not, are really big and important. This film, do I even need a rate? Like, this is an A+. It's a classic.
It's a classic, yeah, bam, that's the rating. That's the top rating. It is a classic. And considering the fact that we didn't give that rating to any of the Universal Monster classics, that's really saying something. Anything else that you want to throw in here?
No, not really.
Yeah, watch Night of the Living Dead, people. It is like the perfect Halloween movie, I'd say, which makes a shame that we're reviewing it on Monday. But come back tomorrow when we're going from an old film to a very new film. We're going to be reviewing, not George Romero's.
Guillermo del Toro.
Thank you, jeez. Holy cow. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Yes.
Come back then, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.